Hi, Nikhil. How are you? So, how's it
I'm
going? It's
I'm
almost
doing good.
finishing your PhD, right?
Yeah. Towards the end right now.
Yeah, in aerospace engineering, you see?
Yes.
Yeah.
Aerospace Engineering at University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign.
Okay. Thank you so much for accepting the interview request and sharing your experience with us today.
Yeah, sure. hmm
So, you can start by introducing yourself. You can talk about your background, like bachelor's degree, master's degrees, and your current research, like that.
Yeah, yeah, sure. So I'm Nikhil. So I completed my undergraduate in mechanical engineering from College of Engineering Trivandrum, CET Trivandrum. And during the final year of my undergrad studies, I worked on a project where we built a hybrid bike that incorporates regenerative braking. And based on that, I was able to secure a full-time position at Mahindra and Mahindra Limited. So it was in their Mahindra Swaraj tractor division. So I worked in Mohali, Punjab for 2 years in their research and development wing, in their transmission design department. And as I was working over there, I developed an interest towards pursuing higher education. And at that time, I was inclined only towards a master's degree and not a PhD. So, since I was already working in the automotive field, I applied to different universities within that area, and I got an admit to University of Michigan, Ann Arbor, in their automotive engineering program. And um, while at Michigan, I worked at the University of Michigan Transportation Research Institute. And there I got my first exposure to research, and to academic research in particular. And my work there, it involved developing computational models of different seat belts and airbag designs and then analyzing their performance. And this is where I realized that I actually have an interest towards research. And this is something that I want to do and I can do in the long term as well. And after graduating my master's degree, I worked at General Motors for a year. And there too, my work was related to developing computational models, but for battery enclosures for GM's upcoming electric vehicles. And based on my experience at Michigan and at GM, I realized that my main interest is in the field of structures and materials. And based on that, I applied to different PhD programs within the United States. So I looked into different universities and professors and narrowed down to an professor at the Pennsylvania State University. And so I reached out to the professor and I was able to get an admit to Penn State and 4 years into their aerospace engineering program. And 4 years into the program, my advisor, when I was actually winding up things, my advisor, he transferred to University of Illinois, Urbana-Champaign. So I also transferred along with him. And so I'm right now, I would say I'm towards the end of my PhD in my final year, where I'm actually winding up things. And my research, it is in the field of reconfigurable aerospace structures, essentially um, structures that can fold, deploy, morph, and adapt under different conditions. So that I would say is a summary of my background.
Yeah, that's really great. So,
Mhm.
if I'm right, you converted your PhD from Penn State University to current university, right?
Yeah, I just transferred it. So I was able to transfer all my research, but at the
Yeah.
same time, since I'm moving to a different university, I had to take coursework, do the qualifying exam again. So I had to restart some stuff, I would say.
How was
So
it? It was
uh,
difficult or
I wouldn't say it was too fun because it was challenging in some ways because when you're at the end of your PhD, you don't want to take courses again and do your qualifying exam again. But
yeah,
it is a requirement for the university. But at the same time, it may be beneficial as well in some
it's
ways because University of Illinois is ranked higher than Penn State. So overall, I guess it may be more of a positive thing.
no, yeah, true.
Mhm.
It is always better to do PhD from higher or in the university.
Mhm.
And, yeah.
Yeah.
And so how was the process like? You told that you narrowed down the process names when you applied for PhD, right?
Yeah.
So what do you think? It's a cold meeting work, or did you submit the application to the Penn State University?
Okay. So, do you want me to go in detail about the application
Yeah,
process?
yeah, yes, yes, yes,
Sure.
please.
So when it comes to the application process, I would say one thing to keep in mind is the application timeline. So when it comes to universities in the US, most students they apply in the fall semester because most of the seats that are actually available in the fall semester relative to the spring semester. And fall semester it usually starts in the month of August to September, and the spring semester starts in January. And most universities, at least the ones that I applied to, they have a deadline between December 1st to December 15th. And um, you get your offer sometime around January to end of March or even up to April. So that's the general timeline when it comes to the application process. And then when it comes to I would say there are actually four components associated with this entire thing, which are entire application process, which is quite important. So the first aspect I would say is the standardized exams. So when I applied, the exams were mandatory. You had GRE as well as TOEFL, and I'm just going to say,
Yeah.
thank you. So GRE it's valid for 5 years, whereas TOEFL is valid for 2 years, and it was mandatory to give both exams during my time. So I scored 323 on 340 in GRE, and then TOEFL I scored 113 on 120. But right now I've seen that it's not compulsory in many universities and it's optional. But still, some universities do still require it, and it can be beneficial to an extent as well. So that's the first aspect related to application. Second one I would say is emailing the professor. This is maybe an aspect which is overlooked in to some extent, or maybe people are not too familiar with it. So it is always useful to email the professor that you are interested to work with in advance. But at the same time, you don't want to send a cold email to them. You have to like research through the work they have done, um, see if there is any overlapping interest, or if your skill sets are relevant to their profile, those kind of details, and then send them a very well structured email showing your interest. But realistically speaking, 90 to 95% of the professors, they're not going to reach back to you. But understand that it's not a reflection on you, it's just that they're extremely busy. So at the same time, if you get a positive response from an advisor, from a professor, sometimes they might even ask you to include their name in your application. And if the response is overall positive, then your likelihood of getting an admit increases substantially. So this is definitely an initiative people can take. And if you're applying, if your deadline for application is somewhere around like December, like the month of December, then it's good to email them sometime, maybe end of October or November. And if you're emailing them in December, then that may not be the best thing to do because it's holiday season over here, and usually advisors are pretty busy as well. So that's the second aspect. And the third one I would say is the statement of purpose that you write for your application. So make sure you clearly convey all your skill set, how um, how is the PhD program relevant to your experience, and how you want to utilize it. So make it really crisp, and at the same time um, try to convey it in a very articulate way. So that's regarding the statement of purpose. And finally, the recommendation letters. Regarding this, I have only a general advice, I would say. That is, when it comes to recommendation letters, most universities in the United States, they require 2 to 3 recommenders. But at the same time, maybe try to ask 3 to 4 or even up to 5 recommenders if they are ready to provide you a recommendation. This is because many a times I've seen that some recommenders they are slow to this process because they're usually occupied with other stuff.
Yeah.
So many universities they actually allow you to change your recommender or essentially edit them. So it's always useful to have more recommenders in hand. I would say these are the 4 crucial aspects related to the application process.
Yeah, but you already given a lot of advice in between. So do you have some more things to add on that?
So regarding the application process, it's mostly that. But at the same time, if for PhD applicants in general, I guess I have some like advice I could say. So one thing is know your why. Why do you want to do a PhD? Are you genuinely passionate about research, or is there a prestige element to it? Because you need a lot of intrinsic motivation when you're doing a very long PhD, and if you want to sustain through it, that passion should definitely be there. And second thing is understanding the reality of PhD. So many people I've seen, they tend to romanticize PhD a lot. And I think that's not a great thing, because more than often you will face a lot of failures in PhD. Your experiments are going to fail. Your publications that you have submitted, they might get rejected. And these things, they happen a lot. So overall, I would say be prepared for the grind in general for the PhD. And finally, an important factor is how well is the advisor fit, because your advisor can essentially make you or break you. So advisor fit is crucial. For that, it's best if you reach out to students within your group and try to understand the the advisor student relationship. Make sure that it is something that is in line with your expectations, and in line with your perspective as well. So I think that's also a crucial thing to keep in mind for PhD aspirants.
Yeah, right. It is very
Yeah,
important. The advisor is very important, right?
yeah, no doubt.
Yeah. So what is your future plan after your PhD? It's almost finishing, right?
Yeah. So regarding future plan, I would say I'm more inclined towards looking for a position in the industry. So a senior engineer position or a research engineer position would be ideal. So in the last semester, in the fall semester, I actually interned at Intel for about 3 months, and that was a really great experience for me. So getting to see things from a PhD perspective, like the pace of work involved in the industry, as well as solving real world engineering problems and seeing the results in real time, that was a really good experience. So I think long term, I believe that this is an area I can succeed, and that's where I want to take my career to at this stage.
Oh, okay. Yeah, all the best with that.
Mhm,
So yeah, I forgot to ask you about the PhD structure. Like,
mhm.
is it 3.5 years or 5 years? How long it is in Penn State and in your
So
current university?
it is hard to say that it has to be within a certain period. It mostly depends on your research in general. And also, there are many other factors that can influence that as well. So, generally speaking, people take around 4 to 6 years on average. So, but there can be things that can delay it even further. For example, since I transferred to a different university, like
Yeah.
I think I would have spent like an extra year at least on that. So things like that can definitely influence it. But also, it can depend on your funding status as well. So that can directly as well as indirectly influence you. What I mean by directly is, hey, if you're funded by a particular agency and you are working on that project, once the funding ends, it's more likely that you have completed your project and you're ready to graduate. But at the same time, if you do not have a research assistantship, like funding through an external agency, it's likely you will be doing a teaching assistant. You'll be taking up a teaching assistant position. But the problem with that is you might have to invest a significant amount of your time on teaching, which can hamper your research and which can indirectly cause for delays to your PhD. But I guess on average, 4 to 6 years is a reasonable timeline. But there are people who complete before this and who take even more time than this. But um, like less than 4 years is a bit uncommon, but not so much, at least personally, that I've seen so far. And also, some people, they also tend to delay the PhD in order, if they get some new projects or they want to do some more research. So, and or maybe they're looking for a different position at that time, stuff like that. That can also cause delays in their PhD.
Yeah. And what about the coursework? Is it the same for every unis? Like, you already have experience with Penn State and your current uni. So is it same,
Yeah,
the course? Oh,
that's a very good question. So technically, I did study at three universities in the US: University of Michigan, Pennsylvania State University, and University of Illinois. So at both University of Michigan and University of um, and Pennsylvania State University, the number of credits for a course is three. It's a 3 credit course. So a course would last like you'll have like 2 classes a week, and one class would be an hour and 15 minutes long. But at University of Illinois, each course is at least 4 credits. I'm talking about graduate courses. They're at least 4 credits. So each class usually on average lasts 1 hour and 50 minutes long, and you would have 2 classes as well a week. So in one, so some universities have 1 hour 15 minutes, but at Illinois it's 1 hour 50 minutes, which is a bit longer compared to other universities at least. So and the number of classes and number of weeks are usually the same for is the same for all 3 universities. But if your class is already like 30 minutes, at least 30 minutes longer than the other one, then yeah, the course, the content that gets covered would be much more significantly higher compared to the other 2 universities. So but you can't say for sure it's the same with every other universities. The ones that I've seen, at least so far, most of them are 3 credit courses, but there are a few other universities also which adopt this 4 credit, a 1 hour 50 minute long classes as well. But generally speaking, coursework, it depends entirely on the advisor, or I mean the professor who's teaching it. So it can be hard, it can be easy, it can be challenging, but in the end, you would learn a lot on average.
Okay, how many coursework you have to complete within your PhD?
So it depends on if you are a direct PhD student or if you have already completed your master's degree. So if you have already completed your master's degree, generally speaking, you have to take around 6 courses, but this varies a lot with departments. So in aerospace, you end up taking at least 6 courses if you have completed your master's. But if you have not, I believe it's more than 10 courses um, to take. But at the same time, if you go to other departments, for example, in mechanical or physics, some of them don't even have to take any courses.
Oh,
So, yeah. So, but students in general end up taking courses because it can be useful for your research, and in
yeah.
some ways, it keeps you a bit more focused on stuff, and you want to learn as well, right? So, students, even if they are done with their course requirements, more than often they do end up taking more courses as well.
Yeah, it is better to get as much as possible the knowledge, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. But I guess when you're towards the end of your PhD, then most students are like, I'm done.
Yeah,
So,
right.
yeah, yeah.
So in our case, we only need to take two course unit. And if
Oh,
we
okay.
have a master's degree, we can get exemption for one course unit. So one is enough.
Oh, oh, just one course.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
okay. Interesting.
yeah. So I think we already covered almost everything, right? So application
Hmm.
process and
Yeah.
your background and your current research and your
Hmm.
future plan advices for PhD aspirants. Yeah, I think we covered almost everything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I think so.
So yeah,
Yeah.
thank you so much, Nikhil, for sharing your
Hmm.
experience with us.
Yeah,
Thank you.
sure.